Okay.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Laurean Callander, and I want to welcome all of my fellow Toastmasters to tonight's workshop, Crawling Out of COVID, How to Build a Hybrid Club. I'm sure a lot of you have had fun the past couple months experiencing club life on Zoom, and I'm sure a lot of you can't wait to get back to your in-room experiences. I know we certainly are. A lot of you have experienced life in Zoom. Out how easy it is to jump into a Toastmaster meeting by clicking on a Zoom link, and voila, you've got 16 Brady Bunch fans talking and looking at you and having a good time. We found out that that's relatively easy as a guest to join a Zoom meeting that way. And we have found some norms with that. We have found that there are some things that you can do on Zoom that you can't do in the real world, like virtually change your background to different colors or different scenes. That's a lot of fun. But there are some things that you can do in the room that you can't do online, like give each other a hug, shake each other's hands, or simply snicker at each other and hear it.
Hi,
Then
guys.
you can do when you have a club meeting both in room and online that you can't do in either of those other two environments. My name is Laurean Callander, and I am the president of the Order of Smedley. The Order of Smedley is an advanced hybrid club. What does that mean? Well, the advanced simply means that you need to have your CC or CL or your Pathways Level 2 in order to join us. Our club has taken the training wheels off of being a Toastmaster, so we just dive into the deep end of the pool in our club, and so do our guests. The hybrid part means that a certain percentage of our members need to be in room, and a certain percentage of our members need to be online. We've been operating this way for several years. So Zoom meetings during COVID was a walk in the park for us because we got to get rid of the in-room theatrics and simply go online, which many of us had already been doing. One of the benefits that we saw in having a hybrid model is that as many of us travel for pleasure or for work, we were always able to attend a meeting and second slide and have a role in the meeting as well. One of the things we discovered early on in Smedley life is that we could always have every role filled by someone online. That was, well, I remember the first time we had an online Toastmaster, we were so excited. And I think that particular meeting, he was our only online guest and everybody else was in the room, but he was leading all of us through the meeting. It was the most exciting day at the Order of Smedley, is the first day that we had an online Toastmaster. As you can see, we often take pictures at the end of our meeting with our in-room people, with our online people, and throw that onto Facebook. This is the Order of Smedley circa 2018, I believe. One of the things that we discovered in setting up a hybrid model is that there are a considerable amount of what I call theatrics involved with putting together an online meeting. And by theatrics, I mean there's a lot of video and audio and computers being worked to bridge together an online environment with an in-room environment. And that's what we're going to walk through today, because I'm sure many of you might be scratching your head or curious as to how do we even start doing that. My hope for today, for all of you here, that you walk away with a written plan of how you're going to do that, given some of the things you already have in your arsenal at your club, and with maybe a small purchase or two to fill in some gaps, you can pull off a hybrid model. So I'm going to walk you through all the things you need to consider to make this happen. At the Order of Smedley, we believe that the online world is very integral to how we operate as a club. That's why we chartered as a hybrid club. And the online experience was so crucial to our success that we created an officer called the VP of IT. technically, through our research, we discovered that most of the technology of running a club actually falls under the SAA. We found that this was too much to ask of the SAA. They already have a lot of responsibilities, managing the room, managing the assets, managing locations, to be worried about technology too. So that's why we separated the two. So the VP of IT is solely responsible for the technology piece of running a club. The other thing that we did early on was we created a new meeting role called the Tech Master. And today, Parveen is my tech master. Hi, Parveen. Every meeting we have a tech master, and their job is to set up the technology and to run the technology during the meeting to make sure that all of you in internet land can hear and see me, and me in the real world can see and hear you. It sounds easy, but it's not. And that's why we're here tonight at tonight's workshop, crawling out of COVID. Remember, Parveen has been putting in the chat box the worksheet for tonight. If you can print that off, that would be great. I will be walking you through it. Parveen will be showing screenshots of the pieces of the worksheet. You can also just grab a blank sheet of paper and fold it in half and in half again. So you have 4s and draw a big circle in the middle. That will give you enough of an outline for what I'm going to walk you through. The purpose of the worksheet and the first part of our exercises is to take a look at your current state. What does your current state look like? And then we're going to draft a plan for what you need to look like to accomplish the goals that you want. But before we get into our very first exercise, I have 2 guiding principles that I want you to latch onto throughout this process and when you launch your hybrid. The first principle is to keep it as simple as possible. Our goals at Smedley are different. Most of us are paid professionals on someone else's stage. Therefore, microphones are important to us, technology, and the best of the best is important to the members of our club, and we invested heavily in our technology. That may not be the case for your club. So keep the technology as simple as you need to pull off what you need to pull off to achieve the goals of your club. And I'm going to walk through a variety of different goals your club may have for becoming a hybrid model. So keep it as simple as you can. I mean simple from both the perspective. Oh, I see. The other thing you need to keep simple are the skills in the group. You don't want to build out a plan to the most sophisticated member of your club because that Toastmaster may not always be there to put everything together. So you certainly want to build out to a very simple model that most people that are trained as a tech master can pull off. The next principle that I want to encourage you to think about is sticking to your club goal. Once you have your club goal of why you're being a hybrid, stick to it, knowing that your needs may evolve over time. But if you go from 0 to 100, you're going to run into a lot of accidents along the way and get pretty injured. So I want to encourage you to go slow through the process and focus on each step as you build out your hybrid model. You don't have to build out huge to be successful and achieve the goals of your club. All right, so we talked about your goals. Let's go ahead and go to slide number 3 on your worksheet. And this is going to be your first exercise, exercise number 1. And Parveen is going to show us slide number 3, which is goals. On your goals, you need to list why your club is becoming a hybrid model. For us, it was important, as I mentioned, the professional speaking. and visiting our club while we were remote and pulling in professional speakers from around the world to participate at our club, which we've been very successful doing. However, your club goal might be just to allow certain members to get into a meeting when they're absent or to participate from home, because I forecast that many of our locations are not going to allow us to have all of our members present at one time. I foresee a scenario where many clubs are going to have to rotate their members in room and online because of space limitations and social distancing. That might be what you're after, is finding a way just to combine those two experiences for your current members and allow guests who are interested in your club for the moment to visit you online and then to come visit you in person when our country opens up more and more to less and less social distancing. So go ahead and write out what your goal is for becoming hybrid for the moment. So think 6 months out. For the moment, what would this goal look like? The next thing I want you to do is go ahead and put down that you want to have your first hybrid meeting, and then back that up by a week and put what date you're going to practice being a hybrid. So I would say about a week before that, not on a club meeting date, your practice session, you're going to pull together the people that have the skills and the know-how and kind of pull everything together and see if it works. The first time Smedley did it, the first 2 times we did this, it took us 4 hours. Then it took us 2 hours in front of every meeting. We got it down to about half an hour before every meeting that we're completely set up. So give yourself plenty of time at your current location to have a practice run through and set everything up. The other thing is to, go ahead and go to the next slide, is to skip ahead to exercise number 10, which is your backup location. Your current location may be swell for your current situation, but I can tell you, technology doesn't always work and rooms break. We've had in a high-tech room at the Order of Smedley, the fanciest of rooms you can ever imagine. We've had electricity go out. We've had the Wi-Fi go out. We have had our lectern go out, which housed all of our connections. We've had our projector go out. Without any of these things, if we know we have online guests, we can't operate a club meeting. We have to ditch our location, jump in our cars, and go 5 minutes up the street to our backup location. So you need to have a backup plan of where you can meet in the event your current location doesn't work. And you need to have this in writing, a pre-plan for this. You need a plan that you're going to have to go to your backup location. That way, when your tech master shows up an hour early and starts setting things up and realizes that the room is broken for some reason, he can contact the president, make a switcheroo, and everyone drives to the next block. That, believe me, we have done that at the Order of Smedley many times. So having a written plan of your backup location reduces a lot of the drama associated, not if something's going to break, but when something's going to break, what are we going to do? And I promise you, things will break. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to the beginning of the worksheet. And let's go ahead and go to the next slide, Parveen. And this is where I want you to take a moment to think about the skills in your club. Who has what skills? Who can do what? Who knows what? Is there someone in your club that's really good with the internet? Is there someone in the club that's really good with the administration of Zoom? Is there someone in your club that doesn't know a lick about computers or software, but is really good at cabling and connecting things together? You may not know this now, but that person is going to be your best friend when it comes to the hybrid model. The person who can connect stuff together and make things happen is going to be the best person. So you want to take a quick inventory of who knows what in your club. That way you have an idea of how much your club knows, and you might be surprised about how much your club does know. And then you can start filling in the blanks about what is it that you need to learn and who can learn it and bring it in to the club knowledge base. The next slide is exercise number 3. This is where I want you to take a look at the inventory of equipment that your club has access to now. And when I say equipment, I'm talking about the things you have regular access to. I belong to 2 clubs, and one of the clubs that I belong to is STAR. STAR meets in a beautiful conference room in a corporate organization, but that conference room's a little antiquated, but they do have a drop-down projector screen and a projector that we can connect a laptop into and display a PowerPoint presentation on. Oh, what a wonderful asset that club has. I would certainly write that down on STAR's club equipment inventory list, because that is something they are going to need if they decide to go hybrid. Your room might have something like that, or like Parveen's second club, Trinity Odessa, they meet in a hotel conference room and they have a big LCD TV in the front of their room. Ah, that's a golden piece of inventory for that club, because that TV does both audio and video. And we'll get into why that's important later. But they're already halfway down the road with just that one piece of inventory. The other piece of inventory that you want to take a look at is who has smartphones, really awesome smartphones that they come to the club on a regular basis. They're always early, or you can count on them being early, and they're generous with their stuff. They don't mind sharing and loaning things. This isn't every Toastmaster in every club. This is a unique group of 1 or 2 or 3 people whose smartphones we can tap into to broadcast our meeting. So write those 2 or 3 people down, and don't expect every Toastmaster to be willing to loan a smartphone to make a club happen. Smartphones are a very personal thing. So this is a very personal choice for a lot of people. So you have to reserve judgment when we're talking about people's smartphones. Now, the next exercise and the last exercise in getting our current state planned out is, what does your room look like? If you're using the piece of paper folded in half method, go ahead and flip it over on the back and draw out what your room looks like. Or if you're working off the worksheet, go ahead and use that. Go ahead and draw in some squares and some circles and diagram out, like stick figures, what the shape looks like. Do you have a stadium seating? Do you have classroom style? Or are you a U-shape meeting? Whatever your layout is, go ahead and draw that out. Parveen's going to go ahead and click the mouse real quick. This is the diagram that we have for the Order of Smedley. This is laminated and kept in our club tub, so any tech master knows exactly how the room needs to be set up, but most importantly, where our cameras go and the angle of the cameras. This is a very important piece of the room layout, and this is the one that your group will be spending most of its time working on. So right now, if we were at the Order of Smedley, I would be speaking into what we call camera number 1, because it's positioned so you can see all of me from head to toe. We have another camera angle that is crossing the room for Parveen. Hi, Parveen. It's important to understand your room layout so that you can situate your cameras in such a way that you have at least 1 or 2 cameras looking at your audience. This is important
because the people online need to feel like they are a part of the room. And the only way to show that they are a part of the room is so that they can see the expressions of the people that are in the room. Are they sad? Are they happy? Are they clapping? Are they cheering? Are they standing? Are they sitting? What are they doing? We need to be able to see all of this. So we have 2 cameras at the Order of Smedley. They are on this worksheet as cameras 4 and 2 that cross the room so that we can see the faces of the people in the room. We have one other camera in the room, I believe that's camera 3, and that's our close-up view of the speaker. Once the meeting gets going, this is the camera that gets used the most. People that talk from the front of the room talk into the camera, they use the camera, they fist bump the camera. That's how we do a virtual handshake at the Order of Smedley. We do a fist bump. A lot of different things that we can do. So camera 3 becomes our most important camera once the meeting gets up and going. But for the benefit of the people online, you really need to have at least a minimum of 2 cameras. One on the wide angle that I'm showing you tonight that shows the full view, and then a second one on the audience showing the emotions of the audience. We're going to go ahead and start drafting out the things that we need to start connecting the room. There are 2 things you need to think about. You need to think hear and see. Those are the 2 things. Not only do you need to hear and see if you're in the room, you need to be able to hear and see if you're online. So just like you can hear and see me, I need to be able to hear and see you too. So that's where a lot of this comes in. So we're going to break this up into 4 different parts to help you kind of grasp what it is that I'm talking about. So we're going to have things coming into the room, and we're going to have things going out of the room. So we have things coming into the room. So all of you people in the internet world are coming into my room, and me and Parveen, seeing and speaking, are going out of the room so that you can hear and see us in the room. I'm going to break all of that down because each piece has a different technology component that you may not be aware of, and there's some pitfalls with each that I want to walk you through. So even if you don't have the worksheet in front of you, you're certainly going to want to print it out, because under the boxes that I gave you to write on, I gave you prompts about things to think about that you could put into those boxes and why it's important. So the first thing we're going to talk about, which we've already touched on before, is the video coming into the room. And that's what we call the video display. That's going to be exercise 6. Don't pull it up yet. That's going to be exercise 6. We talked about no, I'm sorry. I screwed that up. My worksheet's wrong. It's exercise 5. Oh, well, that's okay. We'll skip around. I've already started talking about the exercise 6. Okay, we'll come back to exercise 5. So exercise 6 is the video coming into the room so that you can display it on a projector screen or on a TV screen so the whole room can see everybody that's in Zoom. That could be a relatively simple thing. We've already talked about a few things that will make that happen. So go ahead and write down what your club has or needs to think about having to make that happen. So if you don't have anything now, if your room is barren and don't already have a way for members to portray PowerPoint presentations, to get started, you can simply have a laptop facing out. You know, a laptop with a good sized screen facing out could suffice for the beginning. Not your next, yeah, there you go. Would suffice for the beginning. Eventually you'll want to get a projector that you can connect to a laptop and project onto the big screen or onto a blank wall like we do at our conferences, our district conferences. Either way, you need to figure out how to showcase the people visually that are on Zoom to the people that are in the room. And I think most of you might already have that done, so that's an easy box to check off. We're going to go ahead and back up to exercise 5. Exercise 5 is the video coming out of the room. How are you going to capture what's going on in the room and display it to the outside world? Well, I recommend using the smartphones. And there's many different ways that you can do this. We typically have a variety of smartphones that members bring to the club. They sign up and say that they're going to offer their smartphone to the club. They charge them. They're fully charged. They've already been connected to the Wi-Fi at the location that we're at, so that doesn't have to be done a second time. But they come and they're fully charged. We found that an 1.5 to 2 hour Zoom meeting will completely deplete the battery on a brand new iPhone or brand new Android. So you want to bring the phones fully charged or put them on a tripod that is close to a power outlet so they can be plugged in to power while they're running. Now there's a variety of different ways that you can show the phone in the room or put it on stands. We recommend at least 2 standing floor tripods. I'm going to pull Parveen's in so you can see hers. So at the Order of Smedley, we bought 2 floor tripods. This is the one that is showing the audience camera right now that has Parveen's phone on it. And the other is stationary tabletop devices or tripods. So we have a variety of different tripods that we have in our club that we can use to put an iPhone on and capture those close-ups or those emotions from the audience on. If you were to get a floor tripod or a table tripod, one of the things that you're going to need to put on the top of it is what we call a jellyfish. Now, a jellyfish is what goes on and holds the phone. Sometimes you can buy these where they're already set up, but if you're going to buy like a full-length tripod, they're not going to have one already. So I've brought a couple examples on things that you can do. This one here that I'm showing you here, I found a selfie stick for $5 at Walgreens. I pulled off the selfie stick and put it on a tripod. The bolt on the bottom of the selfie sticks, I don't know if you know this, but it's a universal size. So they fit just about any tripod you're going to stick it on. So it was a great way to just buy the selfie stick, pull this off, throw the stick away, and I had the top that held the phone in place. Another tabletop method you can do is this cradle that we have in every room in our house. We like these $9 cradles that we got from Amazon because they're steel. So they can't be broken, and they hold a lot of weight. And if they get knocked off, they're not gonna break. I like these cradles a lot. This is the one actually off of my desk at work that my phone stays in all day. So the cradles are really good. The last one that I'll show you that we did, this is from my Pocket Producer bag that I have at my marketing agency for when we do video testimonials at clients, is we took a cell phone case, a cheap cell phone case, and drilled some holes in it and bought an L brace and stuck it and it just goes onto the platform of another tripod. I took this off of another tripod so I can show you, but it just screws right onto another tripod, and the whole thing costed me about $2.50. A little brace and nut from Home Depot and a cheap 99-cent cell phone case, and you've got a holder that you can put on top of a tripod. So that could work for you as well. So you're going to want to talk about how you're going to capture the video and how many of these you're going to need, where you're going to place them, and on what. Now this is where your room layout that you drew earlier is going to come in really handy, because then you're going to know, like at the Order of Smedley, when we first started, we had put phones the front of our room was a whiteboard with a ledge. So when we first got going, we took iPads and iPhones and just leaned them up against the wall and tried to angle them in specific ways to capture the room. And that worked when we got going. But as we became more sophisticated and started investing and collecting our club dues, we were able to purchase the proper materials we needed to display the phones properly. So your room layout's going to be very important as you determine how many video captures you're going to need, where they're going to be, and on what. I gave you a couple examples. And I would also recommend at the end of your packet, I gave you a place to put miscellaneous items. You're certainly going to want one extension cord in your club tub for each tripod that you have. You never know who needs to plug in their iPhone or smartphone because it's running low. So if you already have a small extension cord to go with each tripod location, you'll be able to connect a phone to charge pretty quickly without any fuss. All right, we've talked about the video display. And one thing that is important on the video display is when we're in the room and we're showing them up on the monitor, we usually keep that in gallery mode so we can see all the individual people, whether they're speaking or not. We can still see them. As many, you know, in the gallery mode, depending on your screen, can show between 12 and 16 people. That's typically how many in a normal meeting, you won't have many more than that. So that would normally work. I think the most we've ever had at the Order Smedley was maybe 32 people at a special event. But they came for a workshop, so we didn't really need to see the gallery display for everybody. The other thing that you're going to want to do that you'll see on my Order of Smedley worksheet is that we put the in-room timer to sit next to the tech master. They sit next to each other. That way, if the in-room if the timer is in the room and not an online person, if the timer is in the room, we have them sit next to the tech master. So when they show the different timing cards, and let's say it's someone online that's speaking, they can flash the card in front of the webcam that the tech master has and see the timing card. So that's an important piece you want to take into consideration when you have roles that cross both platforms, how they can serve each other. And the visual timing cards was one of the things that we discovered was important to have those people buddy up together at the same table during the meeting. So that works out really well. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the hardest part of building a hybrid club. And the hardest part is the audio. I think you can all agree that putting a camera and putting it on a tripod in the right location is fairly simple. And you can pretty much see most of the room. The hardest part is going to be sending the audio out of the room and pulling the audio into the room in a way that doesn't cause what I guarantee will be your next word of the day at your next club meeting, reverb. R-E-V-E-R-B, reverb. Reverb is where you have audio coming back and forth against each other and creating a high-pitched, whiny sound. And that's going to happen when you first get going. So plan for it and just say, oh, that's our word of the day, reverb, and then continue on how to fix that. The most common cause of reverb is that one of the smartphones on the tripods is not on mute. So the first thing you want to make sure is as you're putting the smartphone, you're logging it into the Zoom account, you're renaming it for the location that it's at the floor, whether it's audience or tech master or speaker view. You also want to make sure that it's muted. You want to mute those phones. I cannot tell you how important that is. They absolutely have got to be muted. or you will annoy the heck out of your online people. So wherever that is on the worksheet or in your notes, highlight it, circle it, star it, mute all smartphones. And you also want to make sure that their speakers are turned all the way down so you can't hear the noise. Now the audio going out is the biggest challenge. I should have made this the last exercise instead of before the audio coming in. But the audio going out is the most complicated part. And the reason being is because even though you can see the people in the room, if that phone is twice as far away as this from me as the audience member, or in this case, if you can look at Parveen's audience view for this demonstration, if you can find her tile on Zoom, it's called audience view, and see her. Parveen, before you turn on your mic, can you say something? Can you hear me? Yeah, most of you probably couldn't have heard that. So if she was a guest sitting in the room and just spoke up, or she's the timer giving her report from her chair, nobody online would have heard Parveen just now. So you have to, and this is the most critical, this is going to be the most challenging part of becoming hybrid, is figuring out how you're going to capture the voice from around the room. So Parveen, go ahead and turn on your microphone. So at the order of Smedley, we invested in a dual microphone system. We have both lavaliers for the planned speakers and Toastmasters, and what we call the roaming mic. So at the order of Smedley, we have a rule. What's the rule?
You have to speak into the mic.
So if you're speaking anywhere in the room for any reason whatsoever, you have to
speak into the mic.
And how close do you have to hold that mic?
You have to hold it really close. It's not COVID safe.
You have to get very intimate with these professional microphones if this is the route you choose to go. Their sensitivity level ends at about 4 inches away from the mic is where they cut off the noise. So we invested in the microphone system. I'm not recommending that's what you do for clubs just getting going. I'm trying to prove a point that no matter who you are in the room, if you're not speaking into an audio device directly, then the people online cannot hear you. And all you're going to do as an in-room club is frustrate your online people and give them a poor experience. They want to hear the people from the room. They want to hear the guest comments. They want to hear the timer report and the on-counter report. They want to hear all of those things. So you have to make sure that they can hear that. To get started, one of the things that we have done as a backup plan, because at the order of Smedley, we have found that our microphones don't always work. We have found that our microphone system sometimes fails, or the laptop that runs it fails. A lot of things have happened to where the microphone system does not work. To get started, I want you to think about having one more smartphone at your disposal that you use to dial into a Zoom meeting on through the phone part of the smartphone, not the smart part where you go onto the video chat, but the phone part where you make an analog call into your Zoom meeting. All Zoom meetings have an analog number that they can phone into. I think Jim Ellis is in our audience, and he knows this probably better than anybody because he has trouble with his video bandwidth and his audio. He can't do both, so he has to do both. So I highly recommend when you get started to have another device that is dialed in for the audio, so you can do the capture of the audio, and you use it as a microphone. You walk around, here's the microphone input here, and you walk around and you use it as a microphone, and you can pass it around. That's my recommendation for clubs getting going, because I know everyone has one of these in their pockets, and I think you're going to have 3 or 4 people willing to offer their smartphones for your hybrid meetings. And the 3 or 4 might be everybody in the room. That's happened at Smedley before, where everybody's phone is on a tripod somewhere because everybody else was online. And that's totally okay, and that's to be expected. But I would recommend this. The other thing that you most certainly can do to get started is to purchase a 25-foot lavalier. Amazon sells these for about $9. I meant to grab mine before I left the house. It's in my pocket producer case. It's about 25 feet long. It's a wired lavalier, so it's got this little microphone thing on one end and a very long cable, and it just plugs in to your iPhone or Android phone on the other end, and that captures the audio. And that way, even though it's on a long device, you can still pass it around to everybody in the room. And that particular phone is what's capturing the audio for your online people. So I highly recommend jotting that down as a possibility, because it's inexpensive and it gets the job done really, really well. Another device that we have used and that I have used many times, which is also in your worksheet, it's very expensive, but I don't know the budgets of, whoops. Let's turn that off. It's a very sensitive device. This is not an Echo. This is a Jabra conference speakerphone. So I keep this on my desk. I put it in my purse when I go to business meetings. It has 16 microphones all the way around it. It connects by Bluetooth, as you just heard, to my phone. When you push the on button, it connects. But you can connect this to one of the phones and set this in the middle of the room. And it's sensitive enough to work as both a speaker and a microphone for the room. So that is certainly an option. I put the link to that in the worksheet, so you can take a look and see if that might be something just to get you going. It's pretty expensive, but you can also use it for work. So if someone bought it for themselves and then donated it to the club for the meantime, that could possibly work too. So there's a lot going on with the audio going out of the room. And it's the most critical part of the entire hybrid model working. I cannot stress it enough. It's the one thing you should spend a lot of time working on. Smedley spent hundreds of dollars on our microphone system. I do not recommend your club run out and spend hundreds of dollars on a professional microphone system. Someone just noted Jabra Bluetooth for about $200. So and that's about right. It's about what I paid for mine. But I do recommend you putting enough attention on it, because if you don't put enough attention on the audio coming out of the room, there's no sense in doing hybrid at all. You can get away with the 2 cheaper methods I mentioned, the 25-foot corded lavalier or using a smartphone as a microphone. Either of those are inexpensive and can get you going. I don't recommend you getting too expensive without getting some professional assistance to get this done. Now for the audio coming into the room. So we talked about how to get our voices out of the room so that people can hear us. Now you need to be able to hear all the voices that people are saying on Zoom in the room. So that's exercise number 8, the audio coming into the room. There are several different ways that you can do this. At the Order Smedley, we were fortunate to be in this high-tech room that had speakers built into the ceilings and a Shure microphone built in as part of the ventilation system. Very high-class room. So the speakers in the room is what we connected to hear the people that were online. And the system was smart enough to know the difference between someone speaking in the room on a microphone and someone speaking online and coming into the room. It's pretty interesting how that worked out. You may not be in such a fortunate situation with your particular club, but if your club does have, like I mentioned earlier, Parveen's other club, Trinity Odessa, has that TV in the front of the room, that will certainly have audio in that TV, and you can use that audio to get started. Or if that audio isn't enough, maybe you can plug in a Bluetooth, another speaker into that TV. They have all these $49 speakers now at Best Buy that you can plug into TVs and extend the sound that way. Because it does become a challenge to hear people online if you have a very small source of audio. Another thing that you can do that's inexpensive is the Order of Smedley was fortunate enough that we had a laptop donated. Someone had upgraded their laptop in the club to a fancier laptop and gave us their old laptop as if we were their dumping grounds. But we took the laptop and we only use it for showing PowerPoint presentations and connecting to the Zoom meeting. So this very old laptop that's heavier than a boat anchor does the work. That's what's causing you to hear me today, is it's connected to our audio system. It's connected to Zoom. Usually our tech master uses that. Parveen prefers to type on her own laptop. So she's using her laptop. So both laptops are connected today. And the other one was already situated for our microphone system. So what you could do is if you're using a laptop and there's no other audio in the room, you can get a cheap pair of $10 speakers from Amazon or wherever you prefer to shop. They do sell cheap speakers for computers that you can just plug into the laptop, and they're pretty loud. So you could do that. We have found on occasion that our room has lost the speakers in the room. So we actually had to put an iPhone down, the one that we were using that we called in with. We put that on speaker, and that became our speaker, not our microphone, but our speaker system that day. And we were able to hear off of that phone. It was a little challenging because I think we had a manual speaker that day giving a speech, and we had to hear it. We could see them, we just couldn't hear them except for through the iPhone. So that was a challenge, but you have to expect that that is going to happen. No matter if you have the best in class technology at your disposal, things will break, and they often do. So expect that they will. Plan for the best situation, have a written plan for the best situation, but have backup plan for backup plan for backup plan. That's the thing that will save you the most. That and a lot of practice at doing this. Okay. The other thing you can add to your asset list is if someone has a professional paid Zoom account. If someone has a Zoom account, that's great. That gives you the opportunity to record and learn off of your meetings. The Order of Smedley, we download all of our meetings off of Zoom and put them on our website so our members can catch up. If they were absent, they can watch a meeting that they missed and check that out. It's also been helpful. We've heard from on-counters who played an on-counter role, and they wanted to know how well they did at the on-counter role. They went and watched the meeting that they were counting for and re-listened to see if they picked up all those ahs and ums and so's. I'm fortunate I don't have an on-counter tonight, just a tech master, because I know I would have filled out an on-counter report all on my own. A paid Zoom account is a good asset because the free version doesn't always allow for the length of time that you need in a Zoom meeting for free. I think it's limited to 45 minutes or an hour. And really, even if your club meets for an hour, you're probably going to be on the Zoom account for an hour and a half, probably 15 minutes before, 15 minutes after. We all know meetings run over. So you're certainly going to want to tap into a paid Zoom account. I believe the district has a few. I don't know if they're going to have them going forward, but you can certainly tap into your district's Zoom account and check it out and see if they'll let you utilize that for your club so you don't have to pay for one. But I want to make sure that you see the difference between a free account and a paid account, if only from the limitations of the time that you're allowed to have your meeting going. Because an hour meeting will take you about an hour and a half on Zoom. The other thing that you're going to want to take another look at before we wrap this up is your miscellaneous equipment list. Parveen just put it up for us to go ahead and fill that out. There's a lot of little pieces that you want to make sure that you don't forget about. The order Smedley, we always have extra packs of batteries to put in our microphones. We have extra extension cables and surge protectors and all kinds of, we've just stuffed our club tub full of a lot of variety of things. The other thing that I would recommend, and I talk about this on my other workshop, how to have a killer online meeting, which I talk about the meeting roles online and how to manage a meeting in Zoom, is this masking tape. Because as you can see, I'm in the camera angle now, but if I was to move, you won't be able to see me anymore, even though you can hear me. And my fellow Toastmaster that's in the room can see me. The folks online can't. So what you can't see is that Parveen, my tech master today, marked the floor off for me. So we have a roll of masking tape we keep, and we mark off the stage area for every meeting. Once the cameras are set up, then the tech master gets a volunteer and helps figure out where today's stage area is. So we put an X, which is what I'm standing on right now, marks the most ideal location to be standing on in a speaking view. And then we set up a couple other marks for the left boundary and the right boundary. And depending on the camera that we're using, we might even put a front of the stage where you fall off the front because of how the camera is set up. Maybe we only had a close-up camera that day. We didn't have the full angle camera. So if we only have the close-up camera, you certainly have a front of the stage, because once you pass that mark, no one can see you. So in your miscellaneous list of items, you want to put your masking tape in your club tub so you can mark off where it's safe to speak in the speaking area for your online people. And I know it's going to be a tighter space. It's going to be tighter than what you're used to, but it's more than what you're getting sitting in your chair in a Zoom meeting right now at your club. So go ahead and add that to your list of things so that you don't forget to do this. Okay, so we're just about done. At the end of the packet and on the slide, I went ahead and gave you some resources on getting help. I gave you the Order of Smedley's website. Once this video is done, we will put this out there so you can review it and download the workshop materials. You can email the club at speak@theorderofsmedley.org. That email goes out to all the officers and we'll be more than happy to respond to you. Or you can contact me directly. I am the outgoing president for the Order of Smedley, but I am the incoming VP of IT. So I'll be in charge of the technology going forward. I have put my email address and my phone number right there if you want to reach out and contact me on the phone, or pull me into an officer meeting where you guys have some combined questions you want help with. Me or Parveen would be more than happy to help you. She's been down this road for 3 years with me. So that's there. It's also in your packet. Are there any questions? Does anybody have any questions? Can you put them in the chat box? Parveen can pick up the microphone and read out any questions that we have from the folks still with us.
Okay. Will the recording be available to the attendees?
I know it's a lot of information. We covered a lot. I'm sure your head is hurting. I tried to make it as simple as I possibly could, but there are a lot of things. So let's go over what the key ingredients are again before we close out for tonight. You want to make sure that you get the current state of your inventory on both skills and technology. You want to make sure that you have an idea of what you already have. You also want to be clear on what your club goals are. Why do you want to crawl out of COVID in a hybrid environment? Why would you want to do that? And be clear on that. And it's okay to keep it small. It is. And I encourage you to just practice getting that. Yes, we do rotate. So I'm glad you asked that. I meant to mention that when I was talking about the Tech Master before. We do rotate the Tech Master roles. We usually have 2 or 3 people always trained in the Tech Master role, because as you can see, it's very time-consuming role, and the Tech Master cannot fulfill any other meeting roles while they're the Tech Master. So they can't give any speeches. They might be able to do a table topic, but that would be about it. They really can't do anything else in the meeting. And it would be completely unfair to have that person do that for a lot of meetings in a row. Maybe 2 or 3 meetings in a row, but certainly not much more than that. They get burned out. They really, really do. And as an officer of your club, you need to be aware of the exhaustion related to being a Tech Master. There's a lot going on mentally in this challenging role. So not only do you want to make sure that you have several of those people trained at all times, you also want to make sure that you have a way to award them or recognize them when they're not in that role for the efforts that they have put in. As the VP of IT, we do have an understudy program where anybody who wants to think about becoming a Tech Master for a meeting can understudy with either the VP of IT or another Tech Master for several meetings and learn how it all works before they become a Tech Master. So they have to understudy and get signed off on by the VP of IT before they're eligible to fill that particular meeting role on their own. And again, it's not because that we don't think that they don't know how to put things together or type in a chat box in Zoom. It's because of all the things that we don't know that can go wrong, and they need to know what creative tools they have access to fix something when it does break. And that only comes with trial and error as you see things break and see how things can get fixed. So that was an excellent, very excellent question. What's Jim's question? I couldn't see the whole thing.
Jim is saying that if he has a slow internet, you can do the video on the internet and do the tool.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But a room itself will not have slow internet. A room cannot do a hybrid with slow internet. You have to have a fast internet. As a guest, you might be able to, and you have to struggle. Jim, I've seen you struggle with that over time. And that's a challenge you're going to have to figure out. But as a room, you cannot have slow internet. And for most people meeting in a room, you're going to be in some kind of corporate host, a restaurant, or an organization's meeting space, and you're going to have sufficient Wi-Fi available to you. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that if you're in a corporate space accessing their Wi-Fi. Any other questions?
No.
All right, well, I want to thank everybody for joining my workshop tonight and listening. We will have this available for you. Please download those worksheets. Contact us if you get stuck or have questions. And everybody have a wonderful rest of your evening. Bye-bye.